Good evening. Welcome to Indy Pride's annual meeting and volunteer appreciation night. My name is Chris Handberg and I'm the executive director of Indy Pride. I really wish we could be together as many of you do, but it's 2020, it's COVID, and we're being very safe by socially distancing and doing all of our events virtually. We appreciate those of you that tuned in for our virtual festival in June. We had over 40,000 people join us to celebrate our community. As we look to 2021, I wanted to communicate with you what our standards are for having an in-person festival and parade as we've done so many times in the past. The Indy Pride Board of Directors and the staff have discussed, and the threshold that we're looking at is a vaccine for COVID-19 is available to the entire public at low or no cost for 1 month before the event is planned. And so the Indy Pride staff, the board of directors that are all volunteer, we're going to make all the plans that we would normally make to have a festival and parade in June. And if we reach that threshold of a widely available vaccine, then we can get together again next summer. If that is not the case, we'll still be on a virtual platform, but we'll be looking for events that can be done safely and with social distancing to ensure that everyone is healthy. Tonight, we'll be honoring our volunteers. We'll be honoring essential workers, and we'll be inducting a few people into our Pride Hall of Fame. Thank you for tuning in. I'd like to now introduce Larry Stribling, the president of Indy Pride, someone that I've had the great honor of working with over the past 2 years. Thank
you. Good evening, everyone. My name is Larry Stribling, and I am the current Indy Pride Board of Directors president. This evening, we have come to recognize and celebrate members of the LGBTQ+ community. As the current Board of Directors president, I have seen this organization change for the betterment of our community. I have been a part of discussions that have challenged this board as leaders. Under my leadership, we have ensured our parade name represents all that have come to celebrate Indy Pride. We have eliminated membership fees, which was a barrier for those who wish to join this organization. We have listened to our LGBTQ+, Indigenous, Black, people of color, and made direct changes to our relationship with our city's law enforcement. There have been questions about safety and security at our next in-person festival, which we hope will be in 2021. Rest assured that we are working to ensure that we are all prepared, all safe at all of our events. Even with all these changes, there is still work to be done as we move forward as an organization who holds themselves accountable to the community we serve. This work will continue to need passionate, dedicated volunteers who wish to give back to our beautiful community. Lastly, I would like to congratulate our new members of our board of directors and welcome you to Indy Pride. Thank you, everyone.
Good evening. I'm Robert Patrick, Vice President of Operations and Festival Director for Indy Pride. Every year, my work depends on the hardworking volunteers of Indy Pride. These largely unsung heroes of our organization make it possible for us to have our festival and related events, the parade, social meetings, community outreach, and educational offerings. As a primarily volunteer organization, we rely on the amazing efforts of our volunteers. Every volunteer that gives of their time and energy leave a unique mark on our events and our organization. Indy Pride would not be what it is today without our amazing volunteers. However, 2020 presented us with some unique challenges for us and our events. We had to quickly change gears and move our Pride events to virtual. This presented us with the task of completely redoing our festival with little time to execute and learning how to hold large-scale events virtually. These challenges were also with the smaller events that focus on face-to-face interactions. Like some of our smaller festival events, the Young Adult Meetup, our YAMU events, and other meetings and offerings that we hold year-round. This year, we have selected 3 of our volunteers to acknowledge their service and leadership during such trying times for our organization. Their dedication and willingness to rise to the challenges fueled our success this year. Our first Volunteer of the Year award goes to Ilea Brassler. Ilea is a former librarian who now works freelance with libraries worldwide. She is the driving force behind Indy Pride's Young Meetup program. She is an active volunteer, an artist, and a baker. Let's hear what Ilea had to say after finding out she was selected.
It's always been a goal of mine to hold up the community, no matter where I am. And since Indianapolis has become my home, I feel like it's super important to, uplift and give a space, particularly for LGBTQ youth. When I was a young teen coming up and I was questioning my identity and I was trying to figure things out, I had nowhere to go. And now that I'm in Indianapolis, we have all sorts of support structures, and I don't want to see any other youth go through what I went through, feeling like on uneven ground. So it's been an honor and a privilege to be able to work with Indy Pride and all the other organizations in town to try and create a comfortable, safe space and a comfortable growth space for young adults in the city. So,
Our second Volunteer of the Year award goes to Stephen Lane. Stephen is the Indianapolis Special Collections Librarian. He earned a Master's of Library and Information Science and a Master of Arts in Public History from IUPUI. He serves on Indy Pride's Education Committee and on the QT BIPOC Community Committee. His work can be seen on the 2020 virtual Pride event. Take it away, Stephen.
Oh, sure. Oh my goodness, I have nothing prepared. So okay, I will just will speak from the heart. This year I know has been difficult. I know it's been so hard, especially on Indy Pride, to just have to do away with its in-person Pride Festival, which is like the highlight of our city. But you were able to pivot and move it online and turn out a really fun and exciting event to be a part of. And I really enjoy helping out with the education committee and helping put on programs that really, help our community, not just our community, but also our city, see the kind of work that we do and just really see how valuable we are as community members of Indianapolis. And then, celebrating our pride and celebrating Black people. And I think it was just really important to do that kind of intersectional work. So I was really excited to see that come forward. But yeah, thank you for this honor for being Volunteer of the Year. It is really exciting. So I hope to keep it moving forward.
Our third award goes to Jack Shepler. Jack is no stranger to Indy Pride. He is a former member of the Indy Pride Board of Directors. He's been involved with Indy Pride for over a decade. He is also known as DJ Jack Cola and is often featured in nightclubs and special events throughout the city. He currently serves as Indy Pride's Festival Volunteer Entertainment Director. His effort in securing great local acts and national talent has been amazing. His work on this year's virtual festival was a large portion of our success. And now here's Jack's video.
Gosh, it's crazy how much time has flown. I feel like it was just yesterday that DJ Deanne and a few other people asked me to hop in and help. Chris Moorhead, Nick Murphy asked me to hop in and help with graphic design, and I ended up just kind of like diving headfirst into a lot of stuff, and it's already almost 10 years later. So yeah, I mean, thank you for this award. Thank you, for trusting me with entertainment the last few years. And and I don't know what else to say. I didn't prepare for this. Yeah, this year was definitely had challenges, but I'm really glad that we made all the changes that we did. And being everything that's been going on, and with COVID and Black Lives Matter and just everything, I thought that this year, even though it was more complicated, it was for the best, and it turned out really well, I thought.
I would like to thank each of our featured volunteers and all of our volunteers that help make Indy Pride what it is. They are truly amazing people. If you're interested in learning more about our events or volunteering, you can find more information on our webpage, indypride.org, or you can email info@indypride.org. Please stay safe, stay strong. I hope we can all be together soon. Good night.
Hello, my name is Tabitha Barber, Program Director at Indy Pride. Indy Pride has had an exciting year of programming. We adapted our in-person programming to the virtual space. This has given us a wide variety of video and programming content for our community to enjoy anytime. I'd like to encourage you to take a look at our video gallery on Indy Pride Facebook and the Indy Pride YouTube page. Please like, subscribe, and share with your friends and loved ones. January, which feels like ages ago, we started off our year celebrating the LGBTQ plus city county councilors and their historic win. We gathered for games, laughs, and a good time at 16-Bit Downtown. We launched our young adult meetup, or YAMU, a group for 20, 30-somethings in the LGBTQ community who meet monthly to network and build relationships. In February, we partnered with Indy 10 and Queering Indy to host a community town hall on pride and policing. We have been so fortunate to work with the ACLU Indiana and Women for Change to get out the vote in our community. We hosted voting rights trivia in May and hosted a voting Know Your Rights online informational in October, right before the voter registration deadline. We've highlighted our local LGBTQ bar and nightclub owners, local bartenders, and DJs through DJs and Drinks, and celebrated BiPAN Pride. We also celebrated Deaf Pride through virtual drag and deaf storytelling. And if you haven't seen that event, check it out. We played trivia virtually on Teams to benefit our community and donated over $5,000 on behalf of the Delta Faucet Company to local LGBTQ non-for-profit organizations. We maintained our annual programming, including the Indy Pride Career Fair, which gave us the opportunity for members to have one-on-one, for members of our community to have one-on-one interviews with employers, and the Indy Pride Career Support Series, which are 4 events featuring 4 guest speakers who shared job resources, workshops, advice to help our community land their next job or career opportunity. Our Indy Pride Festival looked different this year. We made the decision to cancel our Indy Pride Parade, but still we celebrated. In June with the Indy Pride virtual celebration, where we centered the voices and leadership of Black, Indigenous, people of color, BIPOC during an 8-hour live stream event. The programming was curated by the community and for the community. The event was hosted by the fabulous Tia Mirage Hall, Halle Pino, and Pasha Weave. I want to thank the festival leadership team and the QT BIPOC committee for their support on this event. I appreciate the high level of engagement we have received from the community across all of our platforms. On behalf of Indy Pride, I would like to thank you for your support of the virtual programming we've had this year. I am so excited for 2021. We are working with public officials to monitor the ongoing health situation in COVID-19. We want to create programming in a way that everyone can be safe and healthy, and have a great time. We want to hear from you as an organization. What programming did you enjoy this year? How can we improve? What programming would you like to attend next year? Feel free to comment during this event. And please check your emails, check our social media for opportunities to give your feedback on our events and plans for next year. Your feedback is essential to planning future Indy Pride events. Stay safe, be well, and thank you so much.
Hi, everybody. My name is Tanner Alexander, and I've had the honor of serving on the Indy Pride Board of Directors as the volunteer director for the past year. In this role, I honestly didn't do much this year. It was kind of like taking a little vacation. I'm obviously kidding. We've been so busy, and so have you out in the community. This year, we realized that our work may be essential to the well-being of many folks in Indianapolis, and likewise, so many of you have been essential to our city's prosperity during the ongoing pandemic. Healthcare professionals, nonprofit community workers, delivery service facilitators and drivers, bar and restaurant owners and employees, teachers, grocery store clerks, the list goes on and on. You have all stepped up to the plate to take care of us in a number of ways, and we want to recognize you for that. This year, we're recognizing those community members who have been tirelessly working on the front line to keep our community healthy and society moving. Y'all nominated some great candidates, and narrowing it down to just one was an impossible challenge, so we didn't. I'm excited to share with you the 4 Essential Worker awardees. I would like to first recognize Shayna Contic, pronouns she, her, hers. Shayna Contic is originally from a town just east of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Shayna attended Chatham University in Pittsburgh to complete her Master's of Physician Assistant Studies. Shortly after receiving her MPAS, she applied to IU Health Methodist for a nocturnist position, which is really just a fancy word for a hospitalist who works night shift. After visiting Indianapolis, learning about IU Health's mission, and meeting her potential coworkers, she knew Indy was going to be her second home. She quickly acclimated to life in Indy. Shayna works directly with patients at their bedside, admitting them to the hospital, coming up with the patient-specific treatment plans, and ultimately discharging them from the hospital in a healthier state than when they arrived. That can definitely be challenging. She would not change her job for the world. Shayna enjoys a happy life in Indianapolis, where she just bought a house with her girlfriend near Fountain Square. Congratulations, Shayna. Thank you for all you do to support our community. All right. Next, I would like to recognize Tom Molina Duarte, pronouns he, him, his. Tom is a licensed social worker and a recent graduate of the Indiana University School of Social Work. He currently serves as a therapist with the Dalton Child Health Assertive Community Treatment Team, working to improve the health and well-being of Hoosiers experiencing chronic homelessness and serious mental illness. He currently lives with his husband in the Little Flower neighborhood on the east side of Indy. Congratulations, Tom. Thank you for all you do to support our community. Our third nominee is Tyler Elbarasi, pronouns she, her, hers. Tyler is an educator in a highly diverse public urban elementary school in Indianapolis. Ms. Elbarasi is in the 4th year as a special education teacher, and she is deeply passionate about cultivating an atmosphere of inclusion, equity, and love in her classroom and in the community. She's happily engaged to her partner, Chandra, and the couple proudly lives on the east side of Indianapolis. Congratulations, Tyler. Thank you for your support of our community. Our last honoree of the evening is Lyndon Gracie, pronouns he, him, his. Lyndon Gracie works in a nursing home facility as a housekeeper. He cares deeply for the elderly who live in the facility where he works. Lyndon works hard to make sure that the facility maintains cleanliness standards and is a safe place to residents and workers as much as possible. Lyndon was born in Louisiana, and he moved here with his mother, stepfather, and 2 brothers when he was 15 years old. Lyndon joined the Coast Guard at the age of 18 and was serving during 9/11 as a medical transport for CG recruits. Lyndon is now transitioning into his true self as a trans male and lives in Indianapolis with his loving wife. Congratulations, Lyndon, and thank you for all you do to support our community. And congratulations to all of our Essential Worker awardees.
Hello from Indy Pride. My name is Craig Irvin, he, him, his, and I currently serve with Indy Pride in the role of treasurer. I'm going to give a brief overview of revenue and expense for 2019, year-to-date 2020, and how 2021 is currently shaping up. First up, 2019. What a year. What a very different from the one that we're currently experiencing. Total revenue for 2019 came in at $986,270. Expenses for the year totaled $789,208. Net income for 2019 totaled $197,062. One of the driving factors behind the success of 2019 is contributed to the ticket sales revenue that was brought in for the year. Additionally, Indy Pride had strong support in both their sponsorship revenue streams and through the support of our community. 2019 provided great momentum for the current year, a year which no one could have anticipated would play out as it has. Looking at 2020 year-to-date actuals through September, it is notable that we have experienced a drop in both revenue and expense. The challenges of this year have required extreme adjustments to the events and activities Indy Pride is able to host, most notably moving our annual festival and parade to virtual experience as well as all other activities. Revenue year-to-date is $448,279, and expenses at $261,774, resulting in a current net income of $186,505. While budgets are typical for the final quarter of Indy Pride's fiscal year, we do expect to end the year in the black. As for 2021, the Indy Pride board and staff are well into the budgeting process. While there are still variables left in 2020 that will impact budgeting, we are confident in the viability of the organization and look forward to the approaching year. To wrap this up, on a personal note, during my first year of Indy Pride board service, I've witnessed firsthand the strength of the volunteer spirit, the tremendous support from our community, and the dedication and flexibility of the Indy Pride staff. This has certainly been a unique year for building connections and feeling in tune with one another. I'm confident that the connections formed will serve to make 2021 another memorable year of service to this great community of Central Indiana. Thank you for listening. Once again, I'm Craig Irvin, treasurer for Indy Pride. If you wish to reach out to me, please feel free to shoot me an email to treasurer@indypride.org. Thank you and be well.
Three years ago, the Indy Pride Board of Directors made the decision to alter the way we honor those in our community. For years during the annual meeting, we would honor volunteers and businesses with the Gary Brackett Volunteer of the Year Award and the Vivian Ferris Business Partner of the Year Award. The board made the decision, as a matter of inclusion, to no longer have awards with specific names on them, and just instead honor the volunteers and businesses as the Indy Pride Volunteer of the Year and Indy Pride Business Partner of the Year. In making this decision, one thing we did not want to do is diminish the legacy that both Gary and Vivian have left on our community. We are not where we are today without their leadership, vision, and bravery. It was for this reason that the Indy Pride Hall of Fame was created, and in 2017, we proudly inducted Gary and Vivian as the first two honorees. Since that time, two additional classes have been inducted. In 2018, we saw former board president Chris Moorhead be inducted for his decade of service and his leadership in working to bring over 300 Pride organizers from around the world to Indianapolis for the Inter-Pride World Conference. Chris helped show the world that Indy indeed welcomes all. We honored the longtime service and philanthropic efforts of Jim Spain and honored Kobe Palmer for his work in founding the Bag Ladies, who this year celebrate their 40th anniversary of fundraising for the HIV/AIDS community in Indianapolis. In 2019, local leaders from Brothers United, BU Wellness, as well as community leader and activist Kit Malone were honored. The word inheritance often refers to a monetary sum or a physical item that is handed down from us from our loved ones. But to me, inheritance means something else. It means history. With every passing day, our LGBTQ plus history is being lost, and we're not doing enough to ensure that we tell our stories to the generations behind us. There's a lost sense of appreciation for those who came before us and who led us to where we are today. Their stories and their legacies must be protected, and those stories, they are the greatest inheritance we can pass along to the generations who will follow in their footsteps and help guide Indianapolis to a more accepting, a more diverse, and a more inclusive city. So with that, I'm pleased to announce that for the class of 2020, we will be inducting 3 new members into the Indy Pride Hall of Fame. Here to induct the first nominee is former board president and someone who one day will no doubt be enshrined himself, Nick Murphy.
I'm Nick Murphy, former president of the board of Indy Pride, and I am thrilled today to be inducting another former president, Scott Van Kirk, into the Indy Pride Hall of Fame. I had the pleasure of being on the board with Scott and eventually being his vice president, and I was able to witness firsthand the passion that he brought to the mission of the organization. When I first started volunteering for Pride events, I really had no idea what I was doing or what to expect. But being able to watch Scott organize the parade and festival was a masterclass in not only how to put on an event of this size, but also being able to thread the needle pleasing all the disparate groups within our community. Especially when it came to the parade, his knowledge from his professional life was able to build the parade into an amazing amalgam of floats and other units that really set us apart from other prides in the Midwest and across the country. The parade and festival would not be what it is today without the integral period that Scott Van Kirk was president of the organization. With that, I just want to say thank you to Scott for service to the community and teaching me to be a better leader. Congratulations on being inducted into the Indy Pride Hall of Fame.
Nick Murphy. Thank you so much, Nick, and congratulations, Scott. We know that you're currently living in Kenya, but just because you left Indianapolis doesn't mean your work here is forgotten. You'll always be welcome here, and the community will forever be grateful for your passion to lead this organization and to help grow the parade to the insanely huge and totally unmanageable beast that it is today. Congratulations, Scott. Here to induct our next nominee is another Indianapolis figure whose work deserves honoring. He is our unofficial historian and has created an exhibit that travels the state, helping to spread the history of Pride in Indiana. This exhibit stood in the airport atrium for a week during the Pride World Conference in 2017 and helped tell our stories to thousands of visitors from all over the world. Please welcome Mark Allen Lee.
The late, great Reverend Howard Warren was better known as God's glorious Gladfly. He was known for helping those who were scorned and rejected from the church, because he too was scorned and rejected from the church when they found out that he was HIV positive and gay. And so he spent the last 10 years of his life reaching out to those who also were rejected. And he helped them when they were in the hospitals or when they were on their dying days. He was the one who was there holding their hands and reaching out, giving them hugs, giving them smiles, and helping them through their final moments. I first met Howard when he was the associate minister at my church at Orchard Park in Carmel, Indiana. And it was soon after when he was outed and ended up becoming head of ministry at the Damien Center for the next 10 years. Howard was this incredible human being who not only did the work with the Damien Center and would be at all the AIDS walks with the sign over his head, cheering people on, saying, thank you for being here. It's because of people like you that people like me are able to live with HIV and live a long, healthy life. And so he was there, he did those things, but he did so much more. I had an opportunity to interview him a couple years before he died. And he was at Stonewall. He wasn't actually one of the people who fought at Stonewall, but he stood at the park behind, across the street from the bar, and he watched as others fought. And then the very next week, he was at an apartment building where they took a collection, and he wrote a check for, I don't know, $50 to $100, something like that, to help start what later on became the gay men's health crisis, and did all this incredible work to help people who were HIV positive in New York and around the world. And he was at the march when Martin Luther King gave his sermon, I Have a Dream speech. And he took his entire congregation at the time, and they took a bus. And so they went to Selma for that. And just things like that. I mean, he was active in the community. He was embarrassed, not just embarrassed, but because he was in the closet for such a long period of time, he felt uncomfortable telling people that he was a minister, and he was embarrassed because of the way that people were treated by the church. So instead of telling people he was a minister, he told them he taught special ed, which is funny in its own way. But Howard was a fixture within the Indianapolis community. And I truly believe that it's because of the work that he did that we are now able to serve openly as gay and lesbian ministers within the church, within the Presbyterian Church. He would go to General Assembly meetings with a sign held over his head that said shame. And he would walk down the aisle just chanting shame, shame, shame. And it's because of this confrontation, because of the fact that he wasn't afraid to speak out, that I believe they changed their mind. And they're one of the first churches to allow gays and lesbians to serve as ministers. Howard was a friend, he was a mentor, and I'm very excited to have him be a part, to have him be recognized in this way.
Thank you, Mark. And I know Reverend Warren would be so proud to know that his work and his legacy continue today. Our final inductee is someone who has touched our community for years. She was a volunteer at Parkview Care Center, which at the time was the only center for HIV/AIDS patients in Indiana. She served as a past Pride Parade Grand Marshal and is someone who has placed herself not above others, but others above herself. Here to induct Alice Langford is her friend and community leader from the Damien Center, Nick Brown.
Hi, my name's Nick. I believe I met Alice Langford in the spring of 2014 at Broadway United Methodist Church. It was my first Sunday going. I went alone, and I tried to sit in the back and fly under the radar until the pastor did one of those awful things where he invites everyone to mill about the sanctuary and say hi to each other. He called it the passing of the peace. I was very uncomfortable. And then I saw Alice coming for me from the beginning, the front of the sanctuary, briskly. And she approached and introduced herself. And I don't remember if she invited me or insisted that I join her. But I went. And like a lot of folks in our community, I had a complicated relationship with the church, but I was trying to reconnect, and Alice made me feel welcome. So I went back Sunday after Sunday, and when it came time for that, compulsory handshaking, she always introduced me to, anyone that came up to her, and by anyone, I mean everyone. Just droves of people lining up for hugs and greetings, and I was just like, who is this lady? But at any rate, it's a very small but powerful kindness that Alice did to me. And pretty quickly I learned that I wasn't alone in that she had been kind for to a lot of folks in our community. And I heard over the years dozens of stories of how, in the early days of the epidemic, she reached out to our community, and when people were so afraid and isolated, she invited folks into her home. Folks with living with HIV, she welcomed them and fed them and made a family over a period of decades. I'm not alone. I know I'm not alone in my gratitude for Alice Langford and how she's been there for us so much. And so I'm very proud to welcome Alice into the Indy Pride Hall of Fame.
What Nick referred to in speaking of Alice and her inviting people into her home was that Alice, for over 20 years, hosted bi-monthly dinners for individuals touched by HIV/AIDS. She wanted to make sure that folks knew they always had a place at the table. A place at the table. That's what we've always been fighting for, and each of today's inductees have helped us make strides in achieving that goal. I'm incredibly proud to welcome them all and their stories into the Hall of Fame. As we look towards the future, I encourage you all to begin to study our past so that we can better appreciate the present and work towards a better future. Be curious. Ask questions about places like the Varsity, the Westlake Drive-In, Tomorrow's, the Abbey, and the 21 Club. Ask about our former queens who took to the stages long before today's queens. Ask about what it was like to lose friends and family to AIDS. Seek out films like Angels in America, The Normal Heart, and The Boys in the Band, so that when people like Larry Kramer and Mort Crowley pass, as they both did this year, we inherit their stories. Educate yourself and educate others. The torch has been passed to you, whether you know it or not. What will you do with it? As Larry Kramer wrote at the end of Angels in America, the great work begins now. Thank you, and congratulations to today's honorees as the class of 2020 of the Indy Pride Hall of Fame.
Congratulations to our new slated board members who are as following: Charlotte Bowling, Jenny Boytz, Joseph Coleman, Craig Irvin, Matthew Holly, Matthew Jacobs, Jay Castillo Jimenez, Colin Knoll, Addison Smith, and Larry Stribling. Thank you for joining us tonight for the annual meeting and volunteer appreciation night. Congratulations and thank you to all the volunteers, essential workers, and Hall of Fame inductees that we honored tonight. I'd like to give a special thanks to our volunteer board of directors, to our program director, Tabitha Barber, our communications and marketing director, Tiffany Hansen, and our CPA, John Markey. Your work has been amazing this year through some very challenging circumstances. Finally, I know that some people attend the annual meeting so that they can voice their concerns or provide feedback to Indy Pride. Since we were unable to do that in person this year, feel free to email me directly at info@indypride.org. I receive all of the emails that come through there, and I'll be happy to respond to you. Thank you. Good night.